Everywhere we turn, we're hearing about health. What's healthy? What's not healthy? What should we do? What could we do? What would we do? Well, we're going to try and see if we can make health simplified today with a simple guide to a healthier life from somebody who walks that walk all the time, talks that talk all the time, Dr. Justin Fesler. Welcome, sir.
Thanks, Paul. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, you've become this, for at least to our audience here, this guru on how to lead a healthier, simpler life. And so much of it is so obvious. But today, I'm not sure this is an obvious topic to everybody.
No, I was excited. You actually passed on this referral to me. I think it's a great one, and I'm actually excited about it. We have Christine Cimabue with us from Holistic Homes. And she's going to be talking about a health topic that affects all of us and often gets overlooked, which is the health of our homes. My guest is a licensed general contractor, LEED accredited professional, and founder of Holistic Homes. Christine is a holistic construction consultant who helps homeowners navigate new builds and renovations to create truly healthy living spaces. Her journey began when she purchased her first home in 2011. Despite a home inspection showing only a small sign of mold under the kitchen sink, her demo crew discovered the entire kitchen was covered in mold, a devastating experience that completely changed how she viewed home construction. Since then, she's made it her mission to prevent other families from experiencing the same nightmare. Through Holistic Homes, Christine addresses a critical problem. Building failures are happening every day, even in new construction, and many families move into their dream homes only to discover months later that faulty construction is negatively affecting their health. She's helped over 350 clients and covers everything from mold prevention and indoor air quality to selecting non-toxic materials and spotting construction red flags. So why should you care? 1 in every 60 homes will experience a devastating plumbing leak this year, with the average insurance claim reaching $14,000 in damages. But most homeowners have no idea it's happening until it's too late. Whether you're building, renovating, or just want to make your current home healthier, Christine's insights could save your family's health and your wallet. Christine, welcome to Health Simplified. How you doing today?
Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Good. No, I'm excited. So I have 2 kids with some asthma issues, and over the years we've always wondered if there might be some kind of mold issues in our home. We've had the dogs come in and everything, and I think for the most part it seemed like things were okay. But I think probably some of the assessments you do are a little more maybe thorough and a little deeper than that. So maybe you can kind of tell us what you do and how you go about assessing a home like that.
Yeah, and that's not an all that uncommon story. A lot of families have different symptoms, and it's not always just everyone in the family is severely sick that then points to the mold. Sometimes it's just the wife or the children, and it can relate back to mold growth in the home. But even the EPA estimates at least 50% of homes have some level of mold. And I would say it's probably quite higher than that. But mold is a very, very prevalent issue in existing homes, in new builds. So it's definitely a topic that needs to be addressed.
Yeah. Are there, so as far as you're talking about, your kind of origin story of how you kind of got into all this, is that common for someone with like a new build to have issues like from the get-go?
Unfortunately, yes. It can definitely depend on the quality of the build. We find a lot of issues in production builds. And a production build would be a type of home where you are showing up to the sales office. There's a big national builder and they're just building things rather quickly. So there may not be a pause or time for lumber to dry out after a rain, or the quality of lumber might be showing up to the job site with mold growth already on it. That is a very common thing that we see. So yeah, there is definitely issues. It's not isolated to just those old 100-year-old homes. Mold issues are very common in just about any type of build, if not addressed.
Right. And so how would someone, say you're thinking about, let's go with, there's probably two scenarios. One is you're going to buy a new home or from the build from the ground up, and then the other is you're doing a renovation. If someone wants to make sure that they're getting into a healthy situation or preventing at all cost, having some of these issues that you've talked about, how would they go about, how would they go about getting you, and then what would you be doing as far as helping to prevent those issues from happening?
Yeah, so here in Orange County, I'm a licensed contractor in California, so we do new builds and renovations here, and that's how we started. We started doing like gut renovation projects, building them back in a healthy, watertight way. But then the need and demand grew, which is then how we began consulting on new build projects all over the US. So if we have the choice, we would love to go the route of doing a custom new build, because then we can really dial in the water intrusion methods to avoid that. Mm-hmm. So making sure things are watertight, leak testing the exterior, and going through it in a more systematic way where the client's expectations are always the focus. When doing a renovation, or we'll most often see, we had mold in our home, so we started doing demo and remediation, and now it's time to build back. With a renovation scenario, the goal should always be to get to the root cause. So if there is mold present in a home, you don't want to build it back until the cause of that mold was actually corrected. So if there's a sprinkler up against the side of the home, well, that might have led to the water damage and thus the mold. So let's make sure we cap or move that sprinkler. So they are treated quite individually. I do say there's no one size fits all, but the goal should always be to getting to a healthy home and optimal indoor air quality, and really nobody sick living in that home.
Mm-hmm. And so what are their primary, like 3 or 4 primary things you see that are unhealthy about a home that, people can be aware of?
Yeah, probably a lot more than 3.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah, if you want to go through the top 10 or.
Yeah, so I would say the most common thing that we see, or most common area that's leading to water damage, it's very common in bathrooms, just improper waterproofing of showers. Very common for like toilet wax rings to be leaky. So where your toilet is connected to the drain. Those are really common areas that lead to mold remediations. I think the biggest issue and why it's so prevalent is the fact that homes are built to building code, which is a great start. That should not be treated as like the gold standard of construction. That is really the bare minimum standard to build a safe home, but not necessarily a healthy home. So we really encourage taking construction and building practices above and beyond that. And building code doesn't actually require any exterior leak testing. So building code requires you to leak test one area, and that's going to be your shower pan. But we see new construction windows leak all the time.
Mm-hmm. I know actually several people that had brand new homes and they had to have it redone because of that. So
yeah, so just really taking it above and beyond the minimum standards. And in the case of windows, nobody is going to really confidently say they are not leaking unless they're actually leak tested.
Right.
And that's not something that's the norm. That's not going to be done by your city inspector. That's very rarely done by a contractor. So I encourage homeowners to really take their expectations and infuse them into the project so that you can have a high quality build.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Any other areas that people should be aware of, or besides the kind of bathroom toilet issue?
Yeah, I would say there's been a bigger issue around mechanical systems over the last decade, especially here in California, where we love our energy efficiency.
Hmm.
We've got Title 24 requirements and a lot of energy standards, which are great. But what's happened is that homes have become more airtight, a higher R value, more insulation. Great, but what has trailed behind is a mechanical system that's not keeping up with that. So a lot of homes that are built don't have mechanical systems that are bringing in fresh air or have extra layers of filtration. So I see a lot of issues with great airtight homes, but the mechanical system is just recirculating kind of that stagnant air inside.
Yeah, so the mechanical system is like the HVAC or the whatever the, yeah,
Exactly.
okay,
Yeah, you're
gotcha.
heating, you're cooling, basically the way that your home is breathing.
Gotcha. And just off the, I could look this up and Google it probably, but what about mildew versus mold? Are those different or is that the same issue or?
Same terminology.
Okay.
They, mold, there is a subset of the population that does carry a gene that is severely sensitive to mold. And so, really, it shouldn't be the case where, everyone's going to react differently in different homes. That's why somebody, just like the home that I purchased, somebody was living in that home before I purchased it. They were alive. I don't know how well they were, but there was so much mold. I couldn't believe anyone lived at that home. But if you put somebody who's very mold sensitive in that home, they could be reacting day one and not be able to live in that home. So home should really be a unique approach and making sure that occupant health is the top priority.
Gotcha. And what kind of health problems would we see resulting from that? Is that something that you are aware of, or I know you're not a medical doctor, but
Yeah, we really like to get involved after the green light from the mold remediation and
hmm.
inspection company. But a lot of our clients will come to us and just share their stories about how mold destroyed their entire family. It's a huge financial undertaking to go through a mold remediation. In some cases, we hear of 6 figures plus in mold remediation,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
and also medically really devastating. There are a lot of neurological symptoms, health implications, asthma, itchy eyes, a lot of fatigue. But from the time clients often get to us as almost a last hope of building a healthy home, we see quite a bit of devastation financially and just health wise. And it does take quite a while to heal from mold toxicity. But the foundation of what they need is a home that's not going to further contribute to their toxic bucket.
Right. Yeah. Do you have any kind of testimonial stories you want to share with the audience, as far as maybe some people that you were just kind of that devastated person that's kind of you were able to help through?
There's a lot of just devastating stories. And oftentimes, I would say I have more heartbreaking stories than positive stories. Now, we certainly get them in the positive direction, but oftentimes when they start with us, it's a lot of feeling of defeat and things that I am sad to see that is out there is the construction industry not taking this seriously, or gaslighting the request for, hey, can we like build this home with no moldy lumber, and contractors saying, well, it's fine, it's lumber yard mold, you're going to be fine, there's nothing we can do about it, and so that's really sad to see. But we do have a lot of good success with having the opportunity to build from the ground up, because that's where we can start from the foundation all the way up to the exterior walls. So we have a client in Texas who is doing really well after severely suffering for years and having to live in a trailer because even an Airbnb or rental would make their family so sick. And so being able to build a home, which is unlike anything else built in Texas, but again, taking the client's needs and building a healthy home with really good indoor air quality, where they are finally not living in a trailer, but able to live in their home. The biggest success stories we see are when we're able to build from the ground up, and we are big advocates for layering in quality control and leak testing, but a lot of sad stories as well.
I bet. Is there, so you had talked about some of the wood that comes in and maybe is, has some mold on it. Is there a way to treat that wood and still use it? Or is it one of those things you just have to get new wood and go from there?
Our approach is really mitigating, and avoidance is going to be the best strategy. So we're really cognizant about, setting the communication and expectations early around, we're going to be rejecting lumber that has mold. The lumber yards here know very well that we're going to reject lumber, we're going to return it, exchange it, and we're going to want to start with clean lumber. But that's one area that we see most commonly. I'm sure mold remediation companies could probably come in and do something with that, but I don't love the approach of encapsulating, which is sometimes a mold remediation strategy, because if you look at the technical data of that, it will tell you you have to reapply it in 10 years. But who's going to rip their walls apart and do that?
Right. Yeah. Don't start with an issue to start with, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there any other things as far as the ventilation in the house, or, I'm trying to think of other things that might be issues that, people would come across that might cause some of these health issues, or certain types of, HVAC, or, the ventilation itself, or filters, or that kind of thing that you kind of help families to become aware of and use in their homes?
I would say the biggest adjustment almost is really understanding that you should have data about your home. So I often relate it to, like, if you were to go to the car dealership and purchase a car, but it came with no dashboard, like, would you be okay with that? All you got was a thermostat that told you the temperature of the car. Probably not.
Yeah.
We want to know, do we need oil change? Is our tire pressure low? Do we need to go to the gas station? Like, we have so much information about our cars, but at home, we get a thermostat that tells us the temperature.
Right.
We don't have any other data about our home most commonly. So I'm really, really passionate about having like whole home leak detecting devices. That's going to give you some data about the plumbing in your home. Battery operated leak detectors that you can put under like your kitchen sink or your bathroom sink, right? If that drain starts to drip, you want to know about it. Getting even carbon monoxide detectors. One is typically required by code, but we want to also know the numerical reading of what the carbon monoxide levels are in the home. So having something like that. Same thing with CO2. We want to know what that is looking like in our home. So there are some devices that are kind of coming out in the market that are used as more like smart devices for indoor air quality. They'll monitor radon levels and air pressure. And one of those devices, it's called AirThings. And that monitors basically, I think it's about 6 or 8 different levels within your home, so that you can feel like you have a dashboard for what's going on with the air quality in your home.
Interesting. I've never heard of any of those things, so that's new info for sure. Do you have a like a resource or anything, like, for people, like, say they have their home and maybe they're not going to do a renovation anytime soon, but they want to make sure they have a relatively healthy home? What would you recommend people do now to ensure that, or as much as they can? I know you just went through a few things. I didn't know if there was anything else you would think of.
Well, one thing that could be really simple for anyone who's renting. If you have an existing home and you can't renovate it, anybody can have a hygrometer. So a hygrometer, which
Okay.
is a little device, you can even purchase it for $10 off Amazon. A hygrometer gives you a humidity reading inside your home. And humidity is one of those big contributing factors to mold growth. And here in our coastal climate, it's not all that uncommon for these older homes to have 70% indoor humidity. That is extremely high
Wow.
for
Yeah.
an indoor environment. So monitoring your indoor humidity is a really good start. And a good rule of thumb is to try and keep your indoor humidity levels under 50 or 55%. There's some evidence out there that mold can start to grow around that humidity level. So that's a good step in just a lot of people don't even have information about what their indoor humidity levels are.
Right.
So starting with a hygrometer, and then if you need to, you can get a dehumidifier. You can maybe upgrade your mechanical system to add dehumidification, but we got to control our humidity levels.
Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. Well, that's been really fascinating, actually. There's a lot of things in there that I've really never heard of until you expose them to our listeners today. Is there a place where they can, if they want to reach out to you and seek your services, how would they go about doing that?
Best place, reach out to us on Instagram. That's kind of where we put a lot of our educational content. So we are at Holistic Homes by Christine. And for renovations and new builds, we service all of Orange County. And then if you are out of that area, we do offer consulting services as well.
Great. That's awesome. And you have a podcast too, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Same name, Holistic Homes.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
And anything else they should know about you, or?
Check out our Instagram. We have some strong opinions on some materials
Fair
that
enough.
are used in new construction and existing homes. But really, our focus is we just want everyone to, be healthy in their home. That feels like a very basic human need and should be attainable. So we try and do our best with getting a lot of free content out there.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I was impressed with your knowledge, obviously, but also the fact that you've chosen to do this and help people's health through making their home healthier. I think it's amazing. So appreciate you, and look forward to maybe you having you on in the future at some point too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
And how do they reach you, doctor, if they want to know about the work you do at Physical Therapy and Balance and Healthier Living here?
Yeah, so we're at Physical Therapy and Balance Centers in Lake Forest.
And let's spell that.
Fyzical. And we're at 949-716-1800, or you can find us online at www.fyzical.com/lake-forest.
And with that, we'll wrap it up, and we'll air some more of this as it comes clean here with what's happening. I had one question I got to throw in here. Do you ever work with commercial spaces? Because there've been in Orange County a famous building over off Laguna Niguel that just sold, a government building. I think it was called the Ziggurat. Was always listed as a sick building. It was completely closed off. And so they were, which was supposed to be more efficient, but they were, in effect, making people sick, supposedly. And other businesses, I've heard other people complain that my office is, everybody's got a cold, everybody's sick, everybody's got problems. Because they're, as you said, for energy efficiency, they're trying to close these things off. And then, sort of like being in an airplane, they're recirculating bad air here.
Yeah, there is a billion-dollar industry when it comes to commercial building defects and mold issues in those structures. So not uncommon in residential or commercial.
Wow. All right. What's the website again? Instagram was what? It's Healthy Homes?
Holistic Homes.
Holistic Homes.
By Christine. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. Health doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with a simple discussion and some simple facts. And that's what we try and present right here on this show, Health Simplified, a simple guide to a healthier life. Right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OC Talk Radio, streaming live from our studios here at the University of California, Irvine's Beale Applied Innovation Center.